Tom Quee presents Jehsticulations, a musical criticism series examining and critiquing the recording career of British rapper Jehst. For more information on the show, visit battlerapresume.wordpress.com.
Trying to keep it all level. Trying to keep it all level.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Jehsticulations. This is your host Tom Quee. Thank you so much for joining me. This is a entirely Jehst focused podcast. I'm a huge fan of Jehst, the British rapper, and this show is exploring every single one of his releases. From his debut EP, which is the first episode, by the way, this is the second episode. First episode on Premonitions, his debut EP. In that episode as well, we discuss his background, my own background as well, why I get into Jehst, what I like about Jehst, who Jehst is, and then we dig into all the songs on Premonitions. But this week, it's all about the return of the Drifter, his first album. But before we get into that, I just want to do a quick bit of admin. Please, if you want to follow me, this is kind of a shoot-off show if this is the first time you're hearing the show. My main show is Battle Rap Resume, which you can find posted on the same channel. You can also follow me at Battle Rap Resume. For those unaware, Battle Rap Resume is me and a battle rapper going long form, Joe Rogan style, breaking down 5 or 6 of their best battles, talking about the bars. I've had some fantastic guests so far. I'm currently 12 episodes deep and just wrapped up the other day with Soweto Kinch, which was fantastic, and I had Kruger and O'Shea on that week as well. So just, yeah, the guests have been absolutely fantastic. Really can't believe it. But if you could get in touch with me as well, one of the things that I would really like to get started with this show in particular, through the email, which is battlerapresume@gmail.com. I'd love to read out some Jehst-based emails. Like if you're a fan of Jehst in any form, maybe you're just getting into it now, maybe you remember when this album came out in 2002. I was a little young to appreciate its actual initial release, but maybe you're there. Maybe you've liked Jehst for a couple of years. Maybe you like a certain Jehst album, a certain Jehst song, whatever. Maybe you have a Jehst story. I suggest a lot there, and I guess I'm going to keep saying it throughout the show, so yeah, get used to it. But anything you have about him, or anything you want to share, any opinions or anything like that, please get in contact, or just comment on the video too. That'd be great, and I'd love to hear from you. But anyway, let's get into today's release. This is the Return of the Drifter, which was Jehst's first actual album. In terms of the actual production credits here, we have Jehst and Brain Tax mixing the majority of the tracks. Jehst is producer for the majority of the tracks too. Harry Love works on 2 of them, one of which, actually no, both of them to be fair, but one of which especially, that being Alcoholic Author. This is 7 from 8 tracks. Alcoholic Author is incredible, and then Staircase to Stage is also another really, really good song. We also have DJ Ideal providing scratches on the first 6 tracks. There's a lot of scratches on this album as well. It's got a lot of that throwback sound, a lot of that kind of heavily sampled kind of motif. You know, it's no surprise here that there are mentions of Third Eyes, and there's a Kalashnikov, and there's ODB, and it's all kind of stewing in this glorious, unironic 2002 hip-hop stew, and it just makes for an absolutely incredible release. I mean, this debut album is in many ways kind of the perfect follow-up to what Jehst had promised on Premonitions. I mean, very few people in my eyes, like really, if I'm kind of trying to say what it is about Jehst that I really like, I've been trying to think about this between doing the Premonitions episode and coming up to this episode, just thinking about what is it exactly, what is the essence of this person that really appeals to me, and why do I love his music so? And I think in a certain way, I'm talking about this purely, I guess, on a lyrical level, although we'll get into the music in a second. There are very few people, very few artists that, to me, are able to craft striking imagery while still using complex phrasing and commanding like a flawless cadence. Like there's that perfect melding between the 3 there. Like not only are the ideas wild and original, and kind of, you know, Jehst also reappropriates common symbols throughout his music as well. Like I love the fact that he is high and low culture. Like he will reference some religion or movement or whatever that you'll have to look up and you'll find on some sort of heavily hyperlinked page or something, you know, something really weird. And then he'll kind of go into, say, there's a great song off an album we won't be reviewing for a few weeks still, but The Dragon of an Ordinary Family. The song is The Illest, which is one of my favourite of his songs. The production of that song is absolutely incredible. If you haven't heard it yet, if you're just kind of following me as we're getting into the show, jump ahead and listen to The Illest. It's an amazing song. But yeah, there's a line in that song just on his kind of culture class. I'm living the dream, looking goofy like Steve Buscemi with a shorty like Shilpa Shetty. So it's kind of she of celebrity Big Brother fame to most of us Englanders here, little Englanders, post-EU Englanders, sadly. But let's get on to Jehst. That's one of the reasons that I do love him so much. So we have that kind of, you know, that cultural element there, but also the kind of like the wonderful command of language, the way that he forms these sentences, the way that he flows these sentences as well. But beneath all that is the music as well, and it's incredible how in tandem his leaps are in quality. Like in terms of the lyrical nature, like we're going so much further than what Premonitions could have ever imagined. And sonically too, like, you know, the world that Jehst is painting here is just absolutely immaculate, and the verses too are immaculate. I really think the opening 7 tracks of this thing are the truly astonishing moments. Now, not to say that the latter songs aren't great too. I think the song "The Return of the Drifter" especially is an incredible one, but yeah, just the production is astonishing. And again, Harry Love featuring on 2 of these songs, really standing out. Harry Love on the bass, Low Life Studios, as we hear in Alcoholic Author at the start, which is an incredible number. I really look forward to speak about that shortly. But yeah, Harry Love does immaculate work, and the sound of this album, it sounds so fresh and just so wonderful and so urgent. It just creates such a kind of alarming portrait of a world. And there is levity on here as well. Like, you know, Premonitions had showed a kind of a plurality in Jehst's emotional responses. Like, there was kind of like, you know, Liquid Diction, Deadly Combination, Fist of the North Star, those kind of like, you know, the drudgery of the social world, you know. But then there were songs like Silver Lining, you know, which had a kind of like, I guess, kind of post-stoner glaze tinge to them undeniably, but still had this kind of dreaminess to them, this hopefulness to them. And there are songs like that. There are kind of, you know, People Under the Weather and Staircase to Stage. They have kind of a different element to them, whereas kind of maybe the ultimate thrust of this album is kind of Urban Decay. Songs like City of Industry and Alcoholic Author and 1979, I think they kind of form that trilogy there, whereas kind of like the Skit and Bluebells, they kind of play in between. But again, I'm teasing these out. We will jump into each track as a whole and just, yeah, wow, this is such a good release, so I can't wait to jump in. The album kicks off in absolutely triumphant fashion with High Plains Anthem. I mean, this is a absolutely incredible song. The mood of this song is so unique as well amongst Jehst. The use of the instruments, the imagery, the overall kind of palette of the track is wonderful. You have the kind of the great beat intro, the drums coming in, the lowering siren, you know, we get the High Plains Drifter, the kind of echo kind of coming through there, kind of, you know, behind you almost, you're kind of looking over your shoulder, this character's being announced, and this kind of is what this song is. This song is kind of establishing a character that I guess Jehst wasn't really exploring on Premonitions, but this is something kind of he'll push forward later on in his stuff. That is kind of the character of the High Plains Drifter. There are many names for this character, but it seems to be the dominant character that Jehst pursues, especially on this release. It's maybe less prevalent on, say, Dragon, where that's more of a social thing. But you see some falling down as well. But this is on, you know, the default mode of High Plains Anthem is this character, you know, a man who paints himself as an outcast, but one less typical than a standard moody nomadic loner. You know, this is kind of a splurging of the stereotype with ideas of Western outlaw culture, as well as just standard sort of general rapper tropes too. And the combination is intoxicating and really helps to create a fluid, exciting image as Jehst raps, kind of the space cowboy, as it were. It's worth noting as well that High Plains Drifter is actually a film directed by Clint Eastwood, which I didn't realise before researching for this episode. It's a supernatural Western film. And I love the fact, for example, in the opening bars, to kind of back up that kind of idea, that we have the juxtaposition of the cowboy entering the bar with Rizzler, which I guess they did, you know, cowboys did do roll-ups, so it's kind of understandable with the tobacco and stuff like that. But it's just kind of a nice little kind of jerky point there. So he's like, I walked in a saloon at high noon, the moonshine sipper, spit a new rhyme till it's hasta la vista, the King Blue Twister, smash a transistor, you know. It makes reference to this more explicitly later on. It's the High Plains Drifter that had to resist the sickness of the city life. I'm sat by the river, a packet of Rizzler and a flask full of liquor. I made the locals ask, and then a voice kind of comes in like, who's the masked figure? Like, again, so there's a sense of humour here, and that happens throughout this track. There are several vocal bops that come on, and sort of just certain syllables and words will be taken up by a different voice behind Jehst, and it gives the idea of kind of a saloon nature. And there's lots of you know, maybe slightly empty, but exciting multis, stitching up my injuries and flipping imagery, mixing toxins till I'm lost in the synergy. And the rap, the flow is absolutely delicious. The way that Jehst rides this piano beat, which is prominently a piano beat, a very kind of soft piano line that feels like, I mean, one of the things that's always in my mind when I listen to this song is Mimi's Haberdashery. I don't know if anyone's seen Hateful Eight, which is a fucking amazing film, Tarantino's new film, so good. And it just, I mean, I know that's not in a saloon, but it's kind of in the same kind of like, you know, way station kind of thing, and you can kind of imagine kind of like, you know, the fire and stuff like that. But yeah, the piano line is absolutely wonderful, coming out of this old like saloon bar kind of calliope. It just sounds brilliant, and the writing is just absolutely searing. Jehst continues to plough this kind of cowboy metaphor so well. I stand in the blistering heat as the epitome of the anti-hero, tipping my Stetson, space cowboy. I drink whiskey with George Jetson. So again, there's those two kind of levels. 2001. So yeah, again, 2001. Rap songs, love doing this, and I love hearing it. I love, especially later on, I mean, kind of like, post 2000, it's less interesting, but historically when, in the 90s especially, and in the 2000s, when they're just sort of, 1999, whatever, you hear it in the song, and here's the stamp of time. 2001, the space western, quick on the draw, bring a war to your section. Bloodsport veteran, contraband cargo, the known desperado, rolled into Largo. Largo being the town from High Plains Drifter, the Clint Eastwood film. And the movement of the piano is just fantastic, and it kind of rises on its back haunches slightly on the third verse when it's like battling me, and you kind of hear the diddle like kind of goes up between it. And yeah, Jehst is just playing off. I mean, obviously he's a very funny guy, and he's kind of like using witticisms that work really well to paint people as silly for not recognising his individuality. So he's coming like, battling me, this is the start of the third, battling me, that'd be an embarrassing mistake, like promoters who don't get the H in the right place, obviously playing on his name there. I travel the low plains but drift on a high like cocaine, exchange words with the man with no name. So the Nas sample as well is in there, and it's just a great upbeat tune. There's whistling in there. The back end of the song is also fantastic. There's a sense of class and movement that is rare in a lot of hip-hop. Like, it's not necessarily that the song feels live. Like, you can detect the samples all over the place, but there is just something cohesive and authentic. It just oozes a sense of class and presence. This slightly... reminds you slightly of Abe's Odyssey, kind of like this sort of, not necessarily like obviously Abe's Odyssey, but kind of like if anyone's played that game, that Stranger's Wrath, kind of those sort of like Western kind of worlds, this slightly off-kilter outlaw Jesse Wales figure that Jehst is inhabiting here, and it's just a huge leap from Premonitions. It's as a song as well, like just as a construct compared to anything off Premonitions, it's just so much more focused and interesting. Again, you never really hear beats like this again from Jehst, and it's great to just hear him doing this and putting it as an opening track as well, a statement, not kind of hiding it in the middle of the album, like this is what people are going to hear when they, hear the crackle on the old vinyl, as he says, and the song just feels a lot more organic, and it's structurally fantastic. 3 really enjoyable, brilliantly written verses. The person who, doesn't need TV, he reads tea leaves. Again, just the divide throughout the entire thing is terrific, and Jehst's personality is constantly, seemingly, in this divide between the high and the low. And the final section of the third verse acts as kind of a great summation on the ideas within the album of the whole, that this guy is a drifter of the high plains, as I say. So that is, in essence, paradoxical. The dirty rascal or the king of the castle. I'm partial to both titles. The soldiers quote in the Bible, holding my rifle to false idols. I love the crackle on the old vinyl. I rock break loops and make moves from my HQ. I stay true to the ancient ways. The herbalist curb surfer riding pavement waves. I mean, Jehst is one of the best at describing himself in a sentence and repeating that throughout different songs and different ideas. But I love that. The curb surfer riding pavement waves. It's kind of goofy and kind of ridiculous, really, but it just kind of plays to that essence of bringing out the kind of mystical with what seems set, and it fades out, long form, which kind of adds to the classic nature. It doesn't just kind of end on a breakbeat stop. It doesn't halt. The beat gently ushers out, and you get to appreciate that gorgeous piano till the very last second, and it just sounds terrific. I can't get enough of this song. Whenever it starts as well, like you do hear it, "Are you ready?" in the start, and like as I say, the sirens and the High Plains Drifter and the echo, and it all comes together. And when that piano comes in and then Jehst comes in on the beat, it's a wonderful, wonderful experience, and it's an unbelievable opener. Absolutely terrific song. And it leads us into the second song, which is just called Skit. This is a skit, I suppose, as well, although I guess kind of it's more technically an instrumental. There are lyrics, but the lyrics are kind of part of a sample that's kind of played in almost as a hook. Those lyrics being, "We emerge from the thick smoke," and some organs and some horn. It's like, "We emerge," like that kind of thing, and it's kind of offbeat rhythm with the horns intruding more and more as the song goes on, and almost a sense of the kind of the words themselves emerging from the thick smoke of the instrumentation. In a sense, you kind of get glimpses of what the actual hook is, and then by the end of the song, you're sure, and there's a sense of kind of the encompassing around you. I think it's not as interesting as the instrumentals on Premonitions, though, that being Eye Level, which opens, and then India, which closes it. I think both of those are more interesting than that. They both have a kind of higher reach that maybe would feel out of place, though, because I understand why this song is here. This song is here because you can't go from High Plains Anthem into City of Industry. It just wouldn't work. Like, it just would be too jarring of a mix. And I think Skit, whilst it doesn't necessarily embody either of those tracks explicitly, it's just a nice kind of, a palate cleanser before you jump in. And you have the occasional stab of trumpet rupturing that sense of tethered calm. I mean, this is, the definition of a skit, really. It's just kind of a little filler that goes in between. I like it. It's not unlistenable too. I mean, a lot of skits certainly can be, but that's more because they're kind of long vocal pieces and you kind of know them off by heart too much and they're kind of annoying anyway, rather than instrumental tracks. And it's great to have an instrumental track on it. I think the other instrumental track on this album, Bluebells, is a lot better. But this isn't to say that this isn't a good little moment. And again, it's very, very brief. 1 minute 6. It's the shortest thing on the actual album itself. It doesn't outstay its welcome, and it leads into one of the very best songs maybe that Jehst has ever done. I don't know. I absolutely adore City of Industry, and perhaps it's because it was the first Jehst song that I ever heard, and I remember it vividly. It was my first year of university. We were just sitting in my room, just kind of everyone just hangs out in everyone else's rooms, and we're just listening to music. And some guy that I didn't really even know, shout out Michael. I'm pretty sure he's listening. He's a good friend now. But yeah, he just put music on Spotify, and then he put this song on, City of Industry. And if you've heard City of Industry, you know that it starts with that absolutely incredible beat. Like, I literally can't describe this instrumental. You just have to listen to it. It's kind of like it has this gorgeous kind of thrum underneath. But what is the main precipice is the syrupy, backward-driven guitar. This kind of really piercing, somber, melancholy, kind of instantly getting paired with the title. Obviously, I didn't know the title at the time, but like paired with the title of City Industry, it creates this industrial sense of despair so vividly. But when he put this song on, I was like, oh yeah, I was like, wow, what is this? So, it just kind of, it was interesting. It was interesting to listen to. And then Jehst came in. I'd never heard Jehst rhyme either, and then Jehst came in on top of it, and I was just like, those lyrics, like, they stunned me. I remember instantly going over to the laptop. He was on my laptop, and like, sort of grabbing the song on Spotify and putting it onto one of my playlists just so I could sort of remember it. I was just like, oh, this is great. And then he started telling me about Jehst and who Jehst was, and like, and my other friend as well was like, oh yeah, Jehst. So I kind of like, I was completely, absolutely oblivious, never heard the guy before in my life until that moment, and then from then on, I just became a huge fan. The first thing I went to was this album, and didn't really look back since. And then years later, actually, when I was a big Jehst fan, I saw Michael after university, just at a bar or something, and I came up to him and I was like, "Oh man, I owe you." And I think he thought I meant that I like owed him money, and he looked quite. But I was like, "Oh no, I owe you for introducing me to Jehst." And he was like, "Oh okay," he was. I think he was almost as pleased as that. But no, yeah, weird memory. Haven't thought about that in a while. But this is an incredible song, and that exceptional, like, it's one of those moments, one of those great things in hip-hop, and when it happens, it's so good, when you get the great beat and the great verse deserving of it, or the great verses. There are 2 sumptuous verses on this, and this is incredible. Like, again, I'm reaching for words here, which is kind of not really the point of the podcast, but kind of City of Industry is a just wonderful sonic experience. You need to check this out. Please listen to this. And it's, perhaps ironic, because the title, City of Industry, I do question whether, Jehst is kind of in jest, as it were, because City of Industry, I suppose, in the modern terms, you just think of kind of, I think of Birmingham, for example, or any of these places, like the kind of, the empty shells of kind of the factories, and, kind of, we've seen this all over, right? But I guess kind of City of Industry as well would have been like a big thing, in the 1800s, like, kind of something to behold. Perhaps it was, in the industrial age, but now, unfortunately, we are in the modern age, and this is a ransacked, a hellish place, the land ravaged in the wake of this ground war, the quintessential outlaw. So again, we have this kind of High Plains drifter character. Eye of the storm, my tears fall as a torrential downpour, the flood. Now, the rhyming in this section especially, I think, is just absolutely fantastic. The flood, your death wish written in blood. I came in from the cold, clothes dripping with mud, gripping a club, primitive as stig as the dump, swinging a punch, the bad seed pick of the bunch. I drink black rain, take another swig and I'm drunk. So just that da-da-da-da, gripping the plug, primitive. Yeah, it's just the interconnected nature of it is absolutely fantastic, and the imagery throughout as well. This kind of world, the still city's a ghost town. Snowflakes cover the ground in white carpets. Seasons of espionage as time passes. My open arms embrace darkness, still craving carnage and infamy, but even parasites starve in this carcass of industry. Haunting and just glorious, like, kind of like not over the top. because this is dealing with something very serious, and kind of the images that he conjures are just perfect. You're talking about the forked tongue of a liar, the snake. There is a little voice in the back as well, similar, I guess, to High Plays Anthem as well, that comes out. I mean, this is just such a giant leap in quality again from Premonitions. I mean, I keep saying it, but I've got to say it again. It's a standard that Jehst would never really drop beneath, and often, you know, maybe even rise above, but it just doesn't matter. This song is too good to ignore, and the sample is just the pinched, desolate high strings above that kind of similar riff repeating underneath. The beat is like wincy, you know, it feels like it's wincing at you, and the world he paints is also something that kind of, you know, you always want to shy away from. He had the third eye, keep your third eye open sample that just kind of sounds even more powerful over the kind of beat as well, and the beat is just given a lot of time, you know. We had the fade out, but just we have not much going on there, you know. That is just the outro for the riff itself. Lyrically, it's empty, you know, which it needs to be. And then before it actually ends, we kind of have the character trying to escape and painting a horrific image of the world that he's kind of seeking, you know, parlay from, reflective, like a gemstone in a cesspit. Jehst gives beliefs to a skeptic. The truth neglected, like open wounds that turn septic. And then my words are folklore that survived the Cold War. New World Order and so forth. I go north, ankle deep in snowfall, leaping over dry stone walls with a hole door. And yeah, with more than 50 seconds left, we hear the riff repeat over and over with the sample kind of rocking. And, you know, again, the third eye thing is a little cliche perhaps, but it still kind of works. And the final kind of heartbeat of the beat itself, and then the guitar line gets a little longer, and then it just fades out, just dies, ends, as a place like that would. And it's a gripping listen. And again, Jehst is not comfortable to play with our feelings, to play with our emotions here. He kind of rescues up, kind of yanks us up by the collar with Bluebells, which is a incredible instrumental where the sample is just used so well. The sample being I wish you, lovely sentiment as well. I wish you bluebells in the spring to give your heart a sight to see. So just kind of, you know, the wishing of happiness on your other. And Jehst really does these the best. You could make an album of all his instrumentals, and it'd be a great listen. You have the kind of little pop of the chords from the horns and the strings, the way the bass line is given a spotlight as well, when the kind of I see you know, that kind of refrain kind of lowers out the surface for rising up one last time. The drums again have that kind of satisfying studio flatness to them, but in a good way. Like again, like a lot of this does feel kind of produced, but like in a very kind of like satisfying way. There's nothing too revolutionary about the composition itself, but it's just a really good song. The sample is really fun to listen to in the way that Jehst can kind of allow it to kind of rise high and dominate the song, and then to sink low and to allow the bass line to kind of explore and go its own way. But you can always kind of feel the sample kind of, you know, beating at the surface there, and eventually it rises up again, and you can hear kind of almost a guitar, but it's like an electric guitar that's not been plugged in. You can just kind of hear the dry strings of it, and it just sounds great. And then kind of like the pop as well. Like there's so much more going on than just a sort of sample and drums. Like there's a whole composition beneath the actual thing itself, and it's just a wonderful track that, again, maybe not as necessary as Skip, because I do see 1979, the follow-up, very thematically similar to City of Industry. But again, Jehst isn't constructing a standard rap album. Like even though these are just kind of like dope rhymes over dope beats, you know, there's a lot of thought gone into this, into especially the mood of this thing. Like, you know, Bluebells is such an interesting choice to put between 1979 and City of Industry when you think about it. Like, I mean, it makes sense there, like especially kind of like developing kind of Jehst as a producer, and he wants to showcase his moments. Why not? You know, in between his verses, and we're definitely not getting like mediocre verses in retrospect just because the instrumentals on here, they're just astonishing. And I think 1979 is possibly his best showcase of writing up to this point. It's another song kind of reflecting on the, you know, coldness of the surrounding. It's another commanding character track. I sip vitamin-enriched liquid diction, and digest fiction for culture. I'm force-fed prose the monster. My head and neck connected by a bolt, trying to hold things together like the skins I fold. Which just kind of, such a tight little image there as well, and kind of the Frankenstein nature of him being force-fed this world that he doesn't want to digest. I just adore this sequence, and must be said as well, 1979, similar to City of Industry, is an incredible production as well. As the drums end from Bluebells, as they softly end, we have them back resurgent quite quickly into that sweeping, kind of almost breathtaking instrumental. Like the ODB sample suggests something quite different from where we actually go, that being from Triumph, let's take it back to 79. But yeah, it sounds fantastic, and I'm not sure if anyone recalls the Tomb Raider menu music, the early Tomb Raider games, but it has that same piercing sadness, you know, the kind of the insistent strings are, you know, beneath the main melody are stunning too. They create a brilliant sense of forward propulsive momentum, but it's that piercing line, similar to City of Industry. Like, describing these beats, actually they seem similar than I imagined, but when you listen to them, they are so distinctly made, and they just create their own worlds, perfect to one another. And love this section in particular. You can see it, how I tripped and fell down and picked myself up, turned myself round from the cliff hedge, and staggered home like a misled pisshead, and put up a fight till my fist sled. It just provokes him to kind of, you know, focus ahead, and it's wonderful. It's just absolutely wonderful. Again, the detail in these worlds is similarly a kind of colder world, a kind of the new world order encroaching. These are kind of the habitats that Jehst loved at this point, and that he's writing so well again. And I love the end of the second verse as well. Close my eyes and get close to the dead. I'm the ghost that's meant to be released from limbo, between two worlds, like the thief at the window. So similar to drawing it back to kind of trying to keep his life together and the skins together. It's kind of like playing on those kind of parallel worlds, but then putting it into a kind of very human aspect with the thief at the window, which kind of, I mean, it's interesting both on I guess a sense of kind of status, like kind of, you know, the thief himself kind of looking in jealously, just kind of, they're of two different worlds, but also just the pure kind of like scary nature of that as well. Just kind of like, you know, someone who wants to steal something from you is gazing directly into your house. And again, with these two definitions, Jehst is making no lighter of the first, you know, between two worlds, which is what 1979 plays a lot upon. Why is it called 1979? I'm not quite sure. Was that when Jehst was born? I have to check that. I should know that. Probably was, yeah, but also because obviously we have the glorious ODB sample as well. But yeah, this is a amazing song, and the production, especially of this one, is probably my favourite of the entire piece. I just think there's such a mood here, you know, and not much variety really. Just lets it does its thing, but occasionally it'll come out, and the drums will come in, those kind of clattery Salvation Army kind of drums, and then the beat will come back in, and it just the song's long in a certain sense, you know. I think the song is over 4 minutes, which, I mean, isn't that long in the grand scheme of things, but for a rap song, you know, it's fairly long, and a lot of that is taken up by the beat. But again, the beat is just nourishing. It's just a gorgeous beat, and Jehst does it, you know, perfectly. The spirit of ODB continues into this RZA janky style beat of a song, the Trilogy, which is more of a kind of throwback sort of posse track. I guess thematically it doesn't kind of make sense that much in the album, but it's, you know, it's fun. Jehst refers to himself as a Stone Age beat maker on this, and this does really feel like something from the Stone Age. It has this heavy hittingness. I love this really janky, slightly off center beat. It sounds terrific. There's Free on here, as a trilogy would suggest. There's also Ricochet and Tommy Evans. Tommy Evans, who we saw on Deadly Combination, back on Premonitions. Kind of a funner verse from Jehst here. More of a kind of, you know, throwaway. Putting LSD in your salt shake. Putting LSD in your salt shaker. Well, if it's in bad taste, fuck it, that's my flavour. The dirty-faced crate raider. It's kind of a similar incarnation of maybe the earlier Premonition-style Jehst, but still at a newer level, you know, really good. Ricochet again, not a bad verse, bringing the light like Thomas Edison, swinging like pocket watches and pendulums. I really like that. He rides the beat well as well. This is a kind of odd beat, but they all nail it, and I love the kind of bonging bells in the back of this beat as well. There's kind of the standard kind of weird piano moment, and there's kind of kind of those little moments. He's a stick-up kid like Dick Turpin. I've always liked the line as well of Ricochet. Crew travels in 4-packs tighter than lager cans. Always just like that for some reason. And here we have Tommy again, gives another enjoyable, brilliant verse. It's mostly focused on kind of, you know, conductor, constructor, musical, beautiful chords, suitable for all sorts. My life's finite, rewind, watch the highlights. And Orson Welles references there. He's a film noir third man. He has this great way of announcing and pronouncing. I love the way Tommy sounds on this beat. And there's not too much to say on this one, really. It's kind of 3 really good verses with the beat. A good song, you know, good to have in here. Definitely a kind of change of pace again to kind of put us off kilter, but not too incredible, you know, not at Alcoholic Authors standards, for example, which is the next song I'm going to speak about, which is I think this is my favourite Jehst song ever. I have to say that. I've listened to pretty much all of his albums pretty in depth, and you know, kind of top 5 will change constantly, but this song, for some reason, I just can't get enough of it. From the opening drums, that kind of weird skittery arpeggio kind of guitar, and the kind of skitter scatter, and the way kind of certain beats go, kind of beats, things will stop in the background and kind of halt and pulse forward, and it just has this wonderful gallop to it. It's a great sample at the start as well. This is Harry Love on the bass, Low Life Studios. Harry Love on production. The drums sound amazing. 2001. Incredible lyrics. I mean, you know, spellbinding. I kind of just, I think I'm just going to read the whole thing because I just think the opening verse is absolutely incredible. Like Bukowski, the alcoholic author, son of the devil, I'll turn wine into water. My physical form's a metaphor for disorder. Absorb the trauma, my status is borderline, and I'm short of time, sure to find my keeper. Alive within reach of the reaper, the light sleeper. Drifts deeper into darkness, read my palm and see the evil of my forefathers. And that's when the pause happens, and then kind of comes back, and it's like, born after the last generation of gypsies. It's just unbelievable. And Jehst's references are incredible here. The sense of epic world that he conjures is unbelievable. Obviously, it's called Alcoholic Author because that's just the opening line, and it kind of like, it feels like one of those songs where you just kind of like attributed the opening line for it. There's not too much being said in the grand scheme of things here, but again, it's just this kind of, it's got the trilogy, isn't it, really? I mean, we just had the trilogy before, but I think the real trilogy of this album is 1979, City of Industry, and Alcoholic Author. Like, it's kind of the desolate modern world post-apocalypse kind of ideas here, you know. Bicentennial man, hunter-gatherers who run with the scavengers and brave the dangers. My tongue's a labyrinth in this maze of pages, playing David. I stand defiant to the last dying giant, the android man. I walk silent and talk science, the child who sought guidance. The war cry echoes through these blood-stained empires. The sample is awesome too, the way kind of lots of different things are used here in the hook. The mention of dandelion and burdock and the old tinky tonk piano thing. So it's kind of, I've kind of tried to notice down here, it goes a man of many premonitions, Jehst, and it goes vagabond, scruffy little man from the wasteland. Then we hear Jests from a song Cosmic Gypsies off Task Force's debut. Great song. Moon juice sipping, stepchildren of the earth gods, mixing Smirnoff with dandelion and burdock. I mean, that's Jehst all over, isn't it? Like, the literal mixing together of those two ideas is fantastic. A man of many premonitions, as we've heard on his debut, Jehst, and then again, yeah, vagabond, scruffy little man, and then we have speaking in barbed wire tongues is the final one there, and the idea of cutting out the weather vein, which is just kind of a nice pun, and hearing blood water coming out of the weather's vein. Fucking love that. Tapping out the Lord's Morse code on my window pane. Just glorious imagery here. Brave hearts keep beating to the hardest drums. Bastard sons are lost gods long forgotten. Monolithic heads on this island gone rotten. On top of the world, we're on the bottom of the food chain. We stay the same, but our fears take a new name. Terrific sample as well, like kind of a world kind of losing out on any sense of hope. Look, we got to hold ourselves together. We got to see, man, if we go to pieces, someone out there is going to get us. And then you have the latest sports news off the street bite. Our friends are on second base and trying to make it all the way home, but the inside word is that the odds are against them. Stay tuned, Bumba. Stay tuned. The sample plays out, and with 2/3 of the song is Jehst, and then the final is the sample, and it just works incredibly well. It's an unbelievable song, Alcoholic Author, a great demonstration. I remember playing it for a friend once, and I think I just put it on YouTube or something. We were just hanging out in her room, and she was like, "What?" She's like, "How have I not heard of Jehst before?" Like, she was just stunned by it, and I was like, "I know. This song is really immediate. The movement is glorious. He just sounds incredible on the beat. The production is pristine. It's a triumphant song. I'm kind of out of words to say about Alcoholic Author. It's my favourite Jehst song. And from Alcoholic Author, we get another amazing Harry Love cut. This is Staircase to Stage with J Zone. This is an interesting guest, someone that I'd never heard of since, and who I don't really think gives a great verse here, but little information on J Zone. I wonder how this happened. I wonder why he's on this. I don't really know. Annoyingly, I couldn't seem to find anything on the context of this album too much as well. I realised in the first episode, Premonitions, I had quite a lot of good quotes about kind of the production of the album and stuff, but hopefully Falling Down will yield more stuff. But yeah, J Zone. This is from Wikipedia, ever reliable. J Zone. From Wikipedia. Jay Mumford, better known by his stage name J Zone, is a rapper from New York City. Known for his quirky lyrics and trash talk style of rapping, which, yeah, he does kind of have that on this song. J-Zone released a string of idiosyncratic and critically acclaimed albums in the late 90s and 2000s and acquired a cult following. But then basically it says that he eventually didn't seem to find any commercial success, and apparently eventually walked away from rap, and in 2011 published his book Root for the Villain, Rap, Bullshit and a Celebration of Failure. So there you go. Apparently it's one of the funniest and most honest books ever written about the modern music industry and its luckless casualties. So that's what the AV Club, that sounds quite interesting actually. But yeah, J-Zone, I don't really like you on this, sorry man, but I love the fucking production, the drunken finger stumble of this riff on the piano. Like, it just, you know, when you're a kid and you just go near a piano and you just kind of slam your fingers on it, whatever, just because you just want to hear the sound, you know. It has that kind of sploogey feel to it in the best possible way, that kind of staggery, kind of half intoxicated kind of way, like, you know, the consistent drums underneath, and it's more back down to earth with these sort of songs. Kind of the happier, bouncier flow of High Plains Anthem is back, and, you know, that's engendered by this just amazing production. And Jehst is fantastic here, kind of playing with more kind of ideas that he'll explore more explicitly on Dragon. You know, mad broke, saving up coppers in a glass jar for a bag full of dope and a crate full of Sparvar. My flow is like a crowbar to a fast car. I'm joyriding till I get where the stars are, and then bling blinging like Jar Jar's rings, but you're funny, ha ha, like Jar Jar Binks. And, you know, he still got time to throw in a few kind of sci-fi existential references there. Fuck tags, I leave my name in the crop circles. I run tracks because I learned how to hop hurdles. The hook being of Raekwon, from staircase to stage, minimum wage, but soon to get an article in Rap Pages. And the American J-Zone, there's two verses in this song. Jehst introduces it with that great verse, and then J-Zone, kind of, you know, difference of tone there. He just doesn't really have very interesting lines, and a lot of it, when you read it on paper, it's not very compelling. So there's a line here that's kind of like, I think this is meant to be one of his sort of patented trash talks, but I didn't really find it that convincing. They say I'm weak and a rookie. Okay, that's why your mother rocks a bra with a hoodie. Zing? But I'm broke, so I'm done with hoes. I need a check that looks digital with ones and O's. Maybe I should get a job spitting at co-workers. I'm looking up blouses, but not clicking mouses and cursors. Yo, Harry, I heard you look like Little Richard. So, I mean, yeah, it's just not that compelling, but undeniably, the sample is fantastic. It's got this wonderful out-of-the-door trundle to it. It's irresistibly well done. Harry Love's work on this album is immaculate, and, you know, from staircase to stage, it's kind of got that but the piano feels like it's all over the place. It's skittering everywhere. It's terrific, and it goes into a highlight towards the end of the album. It's got a lovely tight crescendo of a beat, Return of the Drifter. Love the way that kind of, you know, the verse is often cuts back on itself. It's like, love and hate, you know, moonwalk on a rainbow, tongue-tied long timer, invisible ink specialist, think devilish, sipping on alcoholic beverages. The bass is ridiculous. The movement in and out when he comes in with it. I mean, those piano fills and ideas, so unconventional, and Jehst just still sounds fantastic on top of them. He's comfortable and really easy to listen to. You know, he's balanced, as he said, like planets with the moon and stars and sun. You know, I stay balanced like planets. I need shoes on my feet and some food to munch. If you relate to that statement, salute me once. One love, one hope for the youth to the future comes. And then as he says that, one hope, one love, kind of all the audience kind of come back in now. And then it goes, it comes now, I'm drunk and run down. I just love the way the flow swaps up in that verse, kind of like, you know, such a great satire on the idea of youth hope and kind of the way that he's kind of rallied everyone together. And then it's like, you know, whenever, it comes now, oh, well, fuck, yeah, you know. Parasites surround us like close encounters of the third kind. Cyclops with a third eye, deep in my trees like a termite. Great bars, great bars. And of course, you know, Jehst is talking about toking up the herb till it burns bright. Jehst ends the song also by calling out Gallagher wannabes yapping at his front door. Brain tax on the board as well, low life. Yeah, adventure. This is what he says in the outro. Adventure New Bohemia. The drifter is now housebound, and all you snotty-nosed, spoilt little Gallagher wannabes yap barking at the front door. Don't know what happened now. And then Braindex on the boards there, and it has this kind of glorious sort of shortness to it. You know, it's 2 minutes 50. It's a tighter track, and just the piano is always doing interesting things here and kind of moving in and out. Jehst has experimented with the flow, like 1979 City of Industry, one more kind of traditional kind of, you know, beat and flowing up top. Here the beat is a bit different. The beat will stop and start. The beat has an odd sound to it as well. You know, not exactly dissonant chords, but not conventional chords either. And lends to a great sense of that. And this is the return of the drifter. You know, Jehst has kind of been doing staircase to stage, etc., but this is him getting right back into it. Not an alcoholic author. This is him kind of tying up the loose ends of that and playing on the same worlds. And the hook as well is fantastic. We have Kalashnikov from Nightbreed, where it's Lone Wolf, former Jacks, roam road like a ridgeback, which just sounds fantastic. Shabby Tap, I walk Aggie with a hunchback. Jehst, knows what vocabulary to use, as Kalashnikov does as well, and it just evokes that great sense of a threat, a sense of unease, and works so well. Which brings us to our final song, People Under the Weather. Again, really upbeat, similar to anyone aware of the Cellar Dwellers, a really brilliant kind of, I guess they're quite obscure hip-hop outfit. They released an album called Rounds and Reality in 1996, and similar to Jehst as well, Rounds and Reality, I guess, that kind of duality, and that's what they played with as well, the kind of harsh streets and the third eye-ness of that world, and amazing. And the outro of that album is terrific as well, because it's kind of them basically kind of rapping their thanks, kind of all the people shouting everyone out. And whilst this isn't as elaborate as that, it does remind me of that. And this is the people under the weather, got that real catchiness, doesn't it? Underpinned by the drums, and the bass is all do 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 do. The xylophone as well, is that what I hear? Kind of reminds me slightly of supermarket announcement music, but in a good way. And we have A Saviour back. This is someone that Jehst has known since his teenage years, and that he's collabed with many times, and him and A Saviour kind of trading verses, and then the hooks coming in, and it's got a great kind of feel to it. It's jazz hands-esque, kind of recalls the intro track with the positive world nature of it. A Saviour from Premonitions returns, and all the instruments sound good again. All the instruments sound great again. Great chord stabs. The bam, as Jehst comes into his second verse, and just sounds so good. He just flies off this one. It just sounds so elegant, really skillful. Love the fact that they call out the people at the end, all the people going for it. Ends on just a final chord, and then it's like a bump. It doesn't kind of have like a long fade out like so many of the tracks have. It just kind of comes out, and they trade lyrics on this. I don't think lyrically this is that compelling of a song. And A Saviour, I think I'd prefer just hear Jehst going at it, but I understand why A Saviour's on here, and he does a good job. But sometimes it's a little hard to hear on the beat, where Jehst kind of has such an authoritarian command and presence, But yeah, I think this song is here for the hook, and Jehst is brilliant at writing these hooks, and this is like an annoyingly catchy hook, but a great song, and the verses sound wonderful. Like the actual beat, the instrumentation of it is terrific. But yeah, this just about brings us to the end of this episode on the return of the Drifter, which I'm sure you agree is a fucking incredible album. Maybe you'll listen to this and you've never heard it, and you just wanted to hear me talk about the album, or you wanted to hear someone talk about it. I mean, to be fair, I've watched a lot of Needle Drop where I haven't heard the record, but they're slightly shorter than this normally, but whatever. But yeah, check the album out. It's fucking incredible. So good. And I'm really looking forward next time to get into Falling Down as well. That's going to be sensational. Oh man, like China Shop Taurus, Die When You Die, ESP, Run Hard. Oh, so many good songs. Falling Down, of course, as well. Just terrific output in that album as well. So good. I think this album may be a little better than Falling Down, although I haven't heard Falling Down in a while, so I'm gonna, I normally give these albums a few weeks of listening before we do the next episode. So really looking forward to start delving into that. But finally, if you just want to get in contact, anything Jehst based, please comment or get in contact with me through the email at battlerapresume@gmail.com. Also on the Twitter at battlerapresume. Check out battlerapresume as well. Maybe you're a Jehst fan, not really a Battle fan, but yeah, check them out if you want to check out. But anyway, I've been Tom Quee. Thanks so much for listening as ever, and I'll see you on Falling Down.